In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $3 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls, start saving thousands in interest and fees, and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246. 800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
Get ready to fight from within. You're about to go behind enemy lines.
Roger, 3-2. Goliath copies all. Go ahead. Target is surrounded by multiple firms entering what appears to be a residential area. Requesting permission to engage.
From the People's Republic of New York City, you're now going behind enemy lines with Gene Baradelli and Russ Gallo.
And you are now behind enemy lines. Hey there, how you doing, America? Gene Baradelli here with you. Russ Gallows due to be here any minute. You know these divas, they come and they go, but it only adds to what has been a crazy week in the news, folks. Thanks for checking us out tonight, live on Spreaker, or wherever you're listening to us on any one of our rebroadcasts, or as a podcast, or however you're listening to us. Be sure, I should say, to check us out at www.behindenemylinesradio.us. There's a chat room going during the live show. You check us out then anytime when we're live on Tuesday nights. And tonight, just like just about every other night, I'm going to tell you that we got a great show for you, but this time we deliver. We got Steve Beeman coming on the show, talk show host and financial guru wizard, going to be talking about the economic plans for Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. And of course, Russ Gallo walks right in the middle of the show. How you doing, bro?
Coming in hot.
Listen, was it the traffic on the Bells Parkway, or what was it? It's a mess out there, isn't it?
Brooklyn, Queens, a mess. It's the beast.
Listen, I was telling the audience, tonight's about the crazy this week. Because we got so much cray-cray going on in the news that it's only fitting to go through it all. That's how I'm laughing, folks, because I'm watching just Russ. Literally, like you said, we used to have a saying back in the day, Juliet Whiskey Delta coming in hot. And that's what Russ is doing right now. Setting up his computer, getting everything together. Listen, we're going to be talking about a lot of crazy stuff. We're going to be talking to Steve Beeman about some economics, trying to balance out the crazy with a little sanity. And then, is Donald Trump right in saying that they're trying to steal the elections from him? And we're going to talk about some recent news that may change your mind to whether or not that's a crazy statement or not.
I don't need to hear anything else but was Donald Trump right? Answer, yes. I don't even care what the question is.
And there you go. So, as we're setting up right now, I'm going to set up the first item of crazy that we're going to be talking about. And I really want to get Russ's opinion on this. Truth be told, folks, we have done zero show prep for today. Thank God I have a pad here next to me that says show prep that can tell Russell what we're talking about.
I'm ready. I'm born ready here.
I know you're born ready in all this, but in all seriousness, pal, I want to get your take on the news out of the NFL with Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah, didn't you draft that guy for your fantasy?
I did not. I don't think anybody's ever drafted Colin Kaepernick. And they're definitely not this year, given the way he's playing. Colin Kaepernick, the former Super Bowl quarterback for the 49ers, now looks like he's going to be riding the bench behind some guy I don't even know. Sitting during the national anthem, which is kind of fitting that he's, considering he's going to be sitting for the whole season anyway, kind of fitting, I think, that he'll be...
is what I say.
Well, okay, let's get into this. As, you know, Russ Gallo, soldier, defender of the free world, how do you feel about that?
I mean, how do I feel?
Yeah, honestly, feelings beside... Let's forget about the head, let's talk about the heart.
Listen, I think... let's forget about the heart for a second, let's talk about the head. Honestly, this is indicative of a problem that's just rampant in our country right now, if you think about it. The Black Lives Matter crew, everything's about race, a guy who's making over $100 million talking about oppression. Let's talk about the head. This guy is a sick liberal maniac. And when I mean sick, I mean mentally ill. The guy's ill. There's no other way to describe it. What is he talking about? Oppression in this country.
Well, he's talking about bodies in the street.
And police are doing what? They're going out and hunting down black men? Is that what's happening? Is that what's really happening in this country? Do Black Lives Matter? I feel like we talk about this every week. But every week another idiot surfaces in the news. Are white police officers going down and hunting down black men? When black people are killing each other in the streets in every major city, when black people are targeting anyone but blacks in the knockout game and killing them with these punches, when young black men are accosting police officers trying to get their guns and wind up in body bags themselves, is that oppression? Is that what we're talking about here? Is that what this idiot Kaepernick, or whatever the hell his name is talking about?
I don't know what he's talking about, and it seems like a lot of people don't know. Listen, obviously, First Amendment rights, we all agree. Even the stupid and the crazy get to say what they want to say, right? I don't think that's so much the issue.
And no one's saying that he should not be allowed to say what he's saying. God bless him, let him say what he's saying.
No, it's the consequences of what he's saying that we're really talking about.
But there better be consequences. I mean, where are the 49ers in this?
Well, let's just say this before we even get there. The 49ers have some cover, because it looks like Kaepernick, who is so overpaid right now to be the number 2 quarterback for the team, probably going to get cut. Let's just put that out there right now.
Well, the 49ers should cut their losses monetarily and figure out a way to get out of that contract.
I think they're going to. But, my God, this to me is the level of sophistication and influence that we're going to have to worry about. Sophistication low, influence high. He's a sports athlete. So now everybody's going to be listening to him, even though he's so stupid that it doesn't even pay to give him any attention.
But go back to the head and get away from the heart for a second.
Okay, back to the head.
This guy is not only a professional athlete, like you said, a dummy. He's a college graduate from somewhere.
Is he? I'm not even sure.
I'm pretty sure he is.
You can never tell these days with these athletes whether they come out early or they get a degree or whatever. I'm
He's half white and half black, by the way.
And 2 adoptive white parents.
Because his father left him, his black father left him, and he was adopted by 2 white parents. Okay, so what is this guy talking about? What is his point?
He attended the University of Nevada at Reno, and that's one of those. When I think of top flight education, I think of the University of Nevada, Reno.
Bottom line, he's supposedly a college educated man, supposedly, and this is the idiocy, the lunacy.
This is what qualifies as. If this is what qualifies as sound political rhetoric, I don't know what we're in for here, but. Oh man, it's a news story that won't die, is what I'm concerned about. It's just not going away.
And it shouldn't.
Because he keeps having press conference after press conference, and he doubles down and he triples down.
But then I saw on the cover of, I think it was the Daily News, or maybe the Post, one of these New York rags, that said CC agrees with him. Is that
CC Sabathia, really?
Sabathia, whatever the hell his name is, a baseball player.
He may as well, but you know what? The Yankees are in like 3rd or 4th place. Nobody even cares.
He says that he himself won't sit. But he agrees with Kaepernick's...
Yeah, Kaepernuckle. What are we going to call this guy?
What's his real name? I don't even know how to say his name.
Is Kaepernick.
Kaepernick.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
That's not one of the...
I'm going to have to... I might have to do a little editing.
Listen,
That's
I listen
okay.
to the radio a lot. They say that word every day.
That's okay. I'm all right with it. I'll roll with it.
Kaepernick.
If we get the fine, we get the fine.
Jesus.
Anyway, listen. For those of you who are coming late to the show, like Russell, got a live chat room going. Join us in the chat if you want. I do want to give a shout out to our friend Dano, who hasn't been around for the past couple of weeks. He's been recovering from a serious medical condition. We're not going to put his business on the street, but we're glad that he's okay and that everything seems to be working so far. And we miss you, pal. We want you to come back.
Dano, one of our favorites here.
So, continuing with the crazy, we got to bring it back home.
By the way, before you get to that,
man.
I think I know where you're going. But join the chat room, guys. The first 10 people get a Twitter picture of Gene's bulge. Was that where you were going?
Yeah, that's where I was going. Listen, we're taking the highway to the Carlos Danger Zone.
Oh, my God.
He's back, ladies and gentlemen.
He's back.
Listen, you gotta love the persistence. It's the same means and methods that Anthony Weiner's been using. Continuing with the cray-cray. Anthony Weiner gets caught again on the Twitters. And showing pictures of his wiener.
I mean, this is insanity. The guy's name is Weiner.
And he has an obsession with his wiener. But this time it wasn't exposed. It was under some... Thank God it was under some boxer briefs, whatever the heck he's wearing. But the uproar now is... First of all, his wife is leaving him. They're finally separating. I mean, it only took 3 public scandals for her to wise up. And one of the photos appears to show his son in the photo that was tweeted out via direct message to another young woman. I'm not sure, but I'm going with young woman. So here we go again, Russ.
Well, first of all, his wife, what's his wife's name? Huma Pomeraju?
You know her name.
So...
Huma Abedin,
whatever her name is. All right, so here's my take on the whole thing, real quick, in a nutshell. The Clintons are brilliant, dude. They're brilliant. The Clintons are brilliant.
You think this is a scandal? You think Bill went to Anthony and said, "Can you do the thing that you used to do and all that?"
I don't know if it's that cut and dry where they actually pull the strings and make these things happen. But think about this for 1 second. Every time something truly scandalous arises, where a person named Clinton should, in reality, wind up behind bars, something else happens to take that off the headlines that is somewhat ridiculous in nature, like, I did not have sex with that woman, the intern scandal with Bill, and that was during a whole bunch of scandals in the White House, from Whitewater to Warren Bosnia, a whole bunch of stuff was going on back then. And now look at this. Hillary, 100% guilty with the email scandal. More emails are getting released. Uma, however you say her name, totally implicated in all this scandal. Totally implicated.
Oh, she's involved in all of them.
All of them.
30 more emails found since the FBI report involving Benghazi, by the way.
And now Uma is not on the campaign trail with Miss Hillary because of this non-scandal scandal.
Well, when she is being seen, the ring is off the finger, and that was the news story when you saw her.
This is the news story. But the news story is not Yuma and the emails and the Clinton Foundation, who she serves on the board, and she sets up all the State Department meetings for the people who gave money to the Clinton Foundation. All that stuff no longer in the news. What's in the news? Anthony Weiner and his Twitter habits, which, by the way, in all fairness to Mr. Weiner, when he got caught the first time, if I remember correctly, when he finally came clean, he said, "Trust me, there's probably lots more pictures floating around out there. This probably won't be the last you're going to hear of this." He said it. There was no doubting that this was going to come up again. And every few months,
no pun intended.
No pun intended. Comes up again.
No pun intended. Oh, that pun intended
I'm
there.
intending that pun.
All right. Well, listen. To me, again, really.
Get him, Anthony. Anthony's my... Now, here's another thing about Anthony Weiner, by the way.
Is he going for, like... He really wants to be buffoon of the year.
I don't want to go back to...
third time's the charm.
I don't want to just gloss over this whole Hillary scandal, Yuma, and how this is just taking, valuable press coverage away from them. But I am going to go away from it for a second. Don't forget, folks, that Anthony Weiner was a leading congressional Democrat who used to come on the news every night and bash George Bush and the Republicans. Every night. He was the Democratic attack dog. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, that Anthony Weiner was favored to be the next New York City mayor when he was, the popular Democratic attack dog. And now look at him. This is the Democratic Party. This is not an anomaly. This is every leader of the Democratic Party that you can name has some kind of scandal like this or worse in their closet.
You know what? The scandals from just Hillary coming out recently, and legal cover notwithstanding, should be enough to sink her.
And by the way, let me make a crazy prediction, Gene.
Yeah,
because I'm into this business, and I haven't been on the site in a while to make my predictions, but it'll be revealed sometime in the next decade, probably, that Hillary and Yuma have an inappropriate relationship. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Are you going to go on record with that?
I'm going on record to say that their relationship is highly inappropriate. You can connect the dots yourselves, folks.
Russ is going on record with that, and he'll be going to goonrecord.com, brand new social media site started by some friends of ours here on the show, where you get to tell us where you stand on a number of issues, whether it be political, sports, financial, fashion. They got a whole bunch of different topics you could choose from, but you go on record, you post it, and it's up there for good. You can't edit it, you can't change it. What do you stand for? Goonrecord.com, check them out. But the crazy does not stop here, Russ. This week, and maybe he is the king of crazy, and we never really talk about him on the show, Alex Jones.
My man.
Your pal, InfoWars. You like him a lot.
Yes, I do. Conspiracy theory.
Claiming this week that Hillary Clinton and comedian Jimmy Kimmel have directly threatened his life. And he's warning viewers that if he were to die, it would be the work of the Clintons.
Now, hold on a minute.
Man.
Hold on a minute, Gene. You doubt this?
It's Alex Jones.
There's a body list. If I go down the body list of the Clintons, how many people, Gene, and this number might be high to some of you listeners, because Gene's a Brooklyn Sheepshead Bay guy. Gene, how many people do you know personally who have been murdered?
More than 5 and less than 10, probably.
Okay. I guarantee you the Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton body count list is higher than that. Alright? Murdered. Think about this, folks listening to me right now. How many people do you personally know, not heard of or a guy in your neighborhood, personally know, had over your house, went over their house, know, personally, that were murdered?
But here's the basis for Alex Jones. Okay, so then forget about my statement I was going to make. How does Jimmy Kimmel fit into this then?
Because Jimmy Kimmel, it's kind of a crazy story.
Okay,
the pickle jar thing.
So he suggests that Kimmel suggests that Alex Jones works for some sort of New World Order or something like that, or Alex Jones like that, and pickle jar conspiracy theory.
Because
what is that?
He caught Jimmy Kimmel blatantly lying on his comedy show. All right, it's a comedy show. But this brings up a good point, Gene. So, we want to see Donald Trump's tax records, right? Well, I want to see Hillary Clinton's medical records, and so do a lot of other people. If you go to the Drudge Reports frequently, as I do, every day he'll post a new picture of something kind of weird with Hillary Clinton. Whether she needs a step stool to get into the car, she needs a step stool to get up to the podium, she needs help going up flights of stairs. She's an old, decrepit woman with health issues, okay? Nothing against old, decrepit women with health issues, but she's trying to seem virulent and be ready to lead the most powerful nation on earth, and she's not, alright? So what does Jimmy Kimmel do? He invites her on the show and says, listen, a lot of people are asking questions about your health. Here's a pickle jar, open it up. So she opens it up, opens the pickle jar up. And what Alex Jones said,
it was already open.
And rightfully so, was that it was already open. That when you open a pickle jar, there should be a pop, the seal. You know what I mean? When you open a pickle jar, anybody
the freshness seal, make sure nobody tamper with it. The tamper-proof seal.
And Hillary Clinton's pickle jar didn't make that sound, and there was no, it wasn't the correct motion for opening a pickle jar. All right, was Alex Jones, conspiracy theorist, maybe not the most credible source, but he brings up a good point. All right, and do you really put it past the liberal media to try and make Hillary Clinton look strong enough to open up a pickle jar? First of all, I'll tell you what, I know a lot of 25-year-old women who can't open up pickle jars. So you're going to tell me a 75-year-old... I don't even know if she's 75, but she looks like she could be. 75-year-old Hillary Rotten Clinton can open up a pickle jar. I guarantee you she can't open up a pickle jar.
Okay, and listen, I'm with you that the media is definitely a co-conspirator in the Clinton campaign.
So he embarrassed them.
I agree with that. By the way, Hillary's 68 years old. So she's a senior citizen. You round it up. I'm with you.
I round it up.
Okay.
I go by the looks.
Okay.
The numbers are just numbers.
Exactly. When she's walking around in those...
I know plenty of 68-year-old women who can go up and down stairs with no problem. She has a problem going up and down stairs. She might be there to answer that 2 a.m. phone call as long as it's not up a flight of stairs.
But, okay, but I think you put it the right way. Alex Jones, not the most credible source when it comes to who may be on the Clintons' death count list. Let's be honest here. The guy is a little bit out there.
He's a little bit, what's the term you use? Bots.
He's a little bots. He's a little imbambied. He's a little touched in the head. He's a little touched in the head. Point being, to just go out there and say, if anything happens to me, you and your controllers are the prime suspects. I mean, come on. Is he really that important that Hillary Clinton is going to go send a hit squad? Let's start there.
I don't think that they ever use hit squads.
Oh, okay, so you're going to pick apart the question that way, really? Is Alex Jones important enough for Hillary Clinton to kill? No. Let's say that out loud.
But
no,
Alex Jones
he's not.
Our ratings, and this is an easy way to get some.
And by the way, if you want your Please Don't Kill Me Hillary t-shirt, which is really what Drudge was talking about this week.
It's not a bad idea.
You go to InfoWars, I guess, and get it. There's a cheap plug for Alex Jones.
Is he making those t-shirts?
Yes, he is.
I might have to buy one.
Oh, there you go. See?
I was going to say we should have put a Behind Enemy Lines logo on that.
So, Alex Jones, mission accomplished. You got Russ Gallo's money. Folks, time for us to take a quick break here. When we come back, I got my interview that I did with Steve Beeman. We're going to try to bring a little bit of sanity back to a world that has gone crazy this week. And then after that, Russ and I are back to talk about, is there some sort of conspiracy to steal the election from Donald Trump? Talking about crazy, but maybe this one isn't so crazy. Gene and Russ, Behind Enemy Lines, we'll be back right after these brief words. If you're a long-time listener of the show, or maybe this is your first time listening, you can probably tell that me and the gang here, we like to have our share of fun, whether it's on or off the air. We talk about 2-drink minimum radio and no medication Wednesdays or whatever day it may be. That's why when we found the people at Less Government, More Fun, we knew it was a match made in heaven with this show. Folks, we live in a time where government is out of hand. Our founding fathers did not intend government to be all-consuming in all parts of our lives. That's why we are telling you to go to lessgovmorefun.com, check out the website, check out the swag. What the people want is less government, more fun. Pass it on, make it happen.
Who might you save?
Your mother, your father, your husband, uncle, aunt, son.
Learn FAST, F-A-S-T, the sudden signs of a stroke, and you could save.
Your friend, teacher, boss.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. F-A-S-T. That's F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. The sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in the recovery of
your neighbor, the waiter, grandmother, grandfather.
So learn FAST, the sudden signs of a stroke, then pass it on, because you never know who might save you.
Your wife, your colleague.
Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Behind Enemy Lines Radio is all about being right. No, seriously, it is. If you ever listen to Russ Gallo or me go back and forth on some issue, we always want to make sure that we remember who said what and when we said it. That's why we go to goonrecord.com. It's a brand new social media website. Challenge people on what they believe, whether it's in politics, sports, entertainment, finance, whatever. There's a category for you at goonrecord.com. Check it out right now. Tell us, what do you stand for? It's time for you to go on record.
Behind Enemy Lines. Back on the air.
Gene Baradelli, back behind Enemy Lines, joining me on the line right now. It's a pleasure to welcome to the show a 30-year veteran of the financial industry. He's been a CEO, entrepreneur, investor, philanthropist, and currently chairman of the Society to Advance Financial Education. Of course, I'm talking about Steve Beeman. Steve, how you doing, sir?
Well, I am just great, and thank you for having me on with your listeners. It's a pleasure to be here.
So listen, you've been making the rounds talking about actual policy. I mean, heaven forbid we actually talk about policy in this election cycle, and specifically focusing on what you do best, economic policy. Let's get a little bit wonky and let's talk about the differences between Trump's economic policy that he's proposed and Hillary Clinton's policy that she's proposed. Let's start with Trump. What do you see from the Trump policy that's good and what's bad?
Well, if I may, let me say, as I've said a lot in the last several weeks, this is an election that you know and I know both of the candidates are flawed in major ways. None of us are jumping up and down going, this is my favorite person. So my hope is that we move beyond the personalities of these politicians into their policies like you and I are doing, because, frankly, the economy of the United States is at risk. And I think more so than any time in my lifetime, the decisions we make on this election will affect the jobs for our children and our grandchildren. So that's why I am desiring to talk about this with you so much. But let me go to your question specifically on what Trump is proposing. We have an economy growing at 2.2, 2.3% right now. All of us feel it. We're uncomfortable. Productivity levels are down. Employment levels are down on a historical basis. So we're saying, okay, we need to jumpstart the economy. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton could not be farther apart on how they view doing that, and people need to understand this. Trump has said, let's use tax cuts and deregulation to stimulate the economy. Specifically, let's take our corporate taxes, which are the highest of all of the OECD countries. That's the Organization of Economically Developed Countries. We want to take those 35% rates for corporations down to 15% across the board, small, medium, and large companies. Now realize what that does. That throws more cash into company coffers that can pay dividends to investors. They can buy plant and equipment. They can expand their product lines. That's extremely stimulative. Secondly, he said, let's cut taxes for individuals and simplify the tax code. Go from 5 brackets down to 3 with a top bracket of 25%. Again, putting more money into the hands of the individuals to stimulate the economy. And he's thrown onto that the third leg of the stool, which is to freeze regulation and then go for a deregulatory process to try to free up some of the onerous regulations that have stifled small business.
And that all sounds fairly conservative when you think about it, putting money back into the hands of the people versus having a government solution, which I think is what Hillary Clinton has been talking about. I remember seeing in her ads talking about a corporate exit tax for everybody that's leaving already. So not worrying about people, the companies leaving, but taxing them on the way out. I mean, am I right in saying that she's looking for more of a government-based solution?
Well, yes, and that's where this really is an election that folks need to understand. You could love or hate Donald Trump, love or hate Hillary Clinton, I don't care, but you've got two differing views. Donald Trump is promoting a free market solution and stimulus to our economic problems. Hillary Clinton is going down the Keynesian approach of saying government should do this by infrastructure spending, by penalizing bad behavior. I am firmly of the mind it's not a conservative liberal issue, it's not a Republican Democratic issue, it's what's your economic view? Do you believe we grow when people control their money or when government controls their money? And that really is what this election is going to come down to.
But as so often happens in elections, it's coming down to personality and sort of shooting the messenger here. Donald Trump may have the better economic message, but he's really not delivering it as well as he can be. Is this a problem that you see going forward in the Trump campaign, this idea of shooting the messenger instead of listening to the message?
Oh, there's no question. I am really afraid of the future of our economy. With the debts we have, the deficits, the interest rate problems we have, the kind of drag that this debt's bringing down on our future generations, if Trump gets off message and doesn't remember that it is the economy, stupid, it's the policies. He just needs to hammer home on that day in and day out, and the American middle class will jump on that because they feel this uncertainty. They feel this pain. And everybody's kind of going, okay, I got a good job. My 401k is doing okay. I feel pretty good, but something's not right. And what's not right is the economy is barely keeping its head above water with a 2.2, 2.3% growth rate.
And when we talk about that growth rate, it's also coming at the expense of increased borrowing on the government side. And it seems like Hillary Clinton's plan seems to be just, kicking the can down the road and pumping more money into business and growing business, and when growing government, I should say, and when you grow government, you stifle business. Am I right in saying that, or am I off base in saying that?
I think you're right, and it's been proved in Democratic administrations like John Kennedy, Republican administrations like Ronald Reagan. Let's take a look. I mean, there's so many points you and I could make on this, but I want to put facts on it for people who are listening, and I hope there's some folks who might be a little pro-Clinton, but I want them to hear this. In 2008, we had a $9 trillion debt. Today, we have a $19 trillion debt. We've added $10 trillion to government debt. Now, you can argue why it happened and all that, but let's just look at the facts. We added $10 trillion. In 2009, the economy was $15 trillion. Today, it's about $17.5 trillion. So we've added $2.5–3 trillion in economy and $10 trillion in debt. That is not a good value proposition. And my fear is that's where the Clinton programs, being Keynesian, would go down the line, is adding more debt with stagnant growth.
The only thing I see in this election being an obstacle, obviously, if you look straight at policy, it's a no-brainer, at least when it comes to economics, especially the way you're laying it out, Steve. But how does the message get out there? I mean, both sides seem to have a problem with messaging about issues. Two-part question. Can they turn this around? And will it matter because the voters are just so tuned into this Jerry Springer type election that it's going to wash right over them?
That may be the $1 million question. That's the reason I established the Society to Advance Financial Education. I think we're at a time in our history where people better pay attention to this. Left, right, center, I don't care. If you're a Bernie Sanders supporter, I understand your angst big time. But you better look at freedom as the solution to this, not government control. Nowhere in history has that worked. And I have 6 kids. I worry about their economic future, so I hope the Trump camp will come out and preach economics. That is all that matters. People on the radio try to get me to talk about social stuff. What about homosexuals? I don't care. What about abortion rights? I don't care. What about the economy? I care a lot because I want to eat. I want to have a job. I want to have my kids have jobs and go to colleges. That's the only thing that Trump needs to come down on. And if he makes that case and he's honest with the American people, I think he'll get all the Sanders people, some of the Clinton people, and they should get all the Republicans. Should is, of course, a dangerous word.
Yeah, especially in these especially in these political times, I should say. Let's talk a little bit about the Society to Advance Financial Education, how it started, how people can get in touch with it. I just did a quick Google search just now as we've been talking, and you're everywhere. Facebook, LinkedIn, Meetup. You have so much going on with this organization. Tell everybody about it.
Well, what happened? You and I lived through the debacle of 2008 and 9 when the mortgage meltdown led to a market meltdown, led to all kinds of problems. I'd spent my life on Wall Street. I'd made a good deal of money, and so I came out of that with really 3 choices. I could retire, I could go back to Wall Street and make money, or I could try to do something to truly provide help to people. And as I looked at the outcome of that 2008 and 9 debacle, I started writing about financial education, and I wrote about don't sell in the bottom of a bear market. That's when all the buyers should be there. I wrote to people about the quantitative easing and what that will really mean, about what gold really does in times of fear. So I started writing, and that all evolved into the Society, which is a registered 501c3 not-for-profit.
And if you go to the website, it's a long one, www.societytoadvancefinancialeducation.org.
And we simplified. You can actually go to safefinancial.org. Safefinancial.org.
Nice. Okay. So, got to update those search engines, guys. Safefinancial.org. You'll find all great information on the site. News articles, YouTube videos, resources that you can find that will really help you out in not only educating you, but arming you with the tools that you'll need. You can also, check out Facebook, LinkedIn, and you can check out, I rarely plug the competition, Steve, but check out Steve's radio show Sundays in the Chicagoland area, right? What time and what station, pal?
It's at 8 o'clock on AM 560, The Answer. You can see the video of it at stevebeeman.com. And my friend, I don't consider it competition. I consider what you and I do to be complementary of each other. And we both want to share a message of hope and liberty to people, and there can never be too much of that.
Way to ruin the joke, Steve. No problem. In all seriousness, folks, because Steve is also on The Answer. You can check it out online. It broadcasts nationally through The Answer's website. I believe it's conservativeradio.com or something like that. I'll make sure that we get it during the show and make sure we promote everything. And, of course, SteveBeeman.com. Steve, this has been a pleasure to finally talk some policy with people. Hopefully this will be what Trump does and, to some extent what Hillary Clinton does, because I firmly believe the more she talks policy, the more she's going to lose.
Absolutely.
And I think you kind of nailed that for me.
Let's bring the honest thing to the American people. Let's show them what they're going to get. I mean, this idea, we have two ideas. The Austrian economic view, which says people should keep their own money. The Keynesian view that says government should be the stimulating factor. Pick it. We've seen one, we've seen the other. You pick it from what you want to do.
And that's what elections should be all about. Steve, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you, and Godspeed to you and your listeners.
Hello and welcome. My name's Andre Walker, and your weekly monologue starts right now. This was the week the newly appointed British Prime Minister, Theresa May, decided to create separate prison wings for Islamic fundamentalists to stop them radicalising other prisoners. As ever, I have my own thoughts on how these blocks could be different from the rest of the prisons they're housed in. Now, I'm not some heartless lunatic like George Bush. After all, we don't want another Guantanamo Bay. The British version should have all the facilities your friendly local terrorist might ever need. For example, I think they ought to be afforded 3 square meals a day of, say, bacon sandwiches, followed by lovely pork chops for main course and ham crumble with custard for dessert. Yummy! And perhaps for breakfast, they could have spam flakes. They sound so good. Religious worship would, of course, be supported, even encouraged. Daily services in the prison chapel would be conducted by volunteers from the Westboro Baptist Church. We know they're not keen on fags, but I bet they really like 7th century Islamo-fascists. Entertainment would be provided by the prison library, which would be named after Tim Robbins, following his really realistic portrayal of life in prison in The Shawshank Redemption. He's also popular among jihadis because of his left-wing views. They want to behead him rather than torture and behead him, which, believe me, is a real honour. The library would be stocked with every single Will and Grace box set, as well as all 5 seasons of Queer as Folk USA and 2 seasons of Queer as Folk UK, plus every single episode of Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, just in case they're trimming the beard and thinking of a restyle. Music would be from Billy Joel, Neil Diamond, Barbara Streisand, Pink, and in fact the entirety of the Billboard Top 20 Jewish Artists in America. Oh yes. But what of their sexual needs? Well, that will be catered for by Napoleon, the black mule-foot pig, whose offspring also supplies breakfast, lunch and dinner. But watch out, boys. Be sure to wear a condom. You don't want to risk being related to your own breakfast. This week saw CNN Politics run the following headline. Trump wants GOP to court black voters, then slams voting rights for felons. Yes, that's right, guys. I'm not joking. This holier-than-thou liberal media outlet is actually saying that all black people should be angry that felons cannot vote. Come on, CNN! What are you saying about black voters? Has it crossed your mind that the majority of black people in America aren't felons, don't know any felons, and have no desire to have the same voting rights as felons? To be fair, though, CNN might as well give up anyway. If President Obama ridicules you at the White House Correspondents' Dinner for not being proper journalists, you really, really have hit rock bottom. That said, though, I did like an article they published this week on their 20 best one-liners from the Edinburgh Festival this year. On the list was this from Michelle Wolf. Hillary Clinton has shown that any woman can be president, as long as your husband did it first. Not exactly sparkling comedy. I preferred the felon gag myself, and that wasn't even intended to be a joke. That's a monologue. Make sure you visit andrewalker.uk this week, because I've published a handy guide for all you liberals of what punishments various countries have for homosexuality and how much those same regimes have given to the Clinton Foundation. Just time, though, for last week's quiz. We asked you how an African American can help improve the lives of black people in the USA. Donald from New York thought it was to get down to Louisiana and help the clear up. Sorry, Donald, but the correct answer was sent in by George from Hungary, who correctly worked out it was to join Black Lives Matter, smash up your own neighbourhood, loot your local shops, and spray bullets at your local police. It was just so obvious. I'm shocked so many of you found it so hard to guess. But either way, a pamphlet on ethical capitalism in global financial markets is winging its way to George, so well done. Until next week, goodbye.
Check out Andre's column at townhall.com. Check him out on Twitter at AndreJPWalker. And read Andre's work behind enemy lines.
Gene and Russ, back behind enemy lines. Folks, thanks for listening to the show. We're a little past halftime here, but I want to make sure that everybody knows that we thank you for listening to Behind Enemy Lines Radio. I'm Gene, he's Russ. Russ wants me to let everybody know that it's shirtless selfie radio this week because, well, Anthony, when you can do it, then pretty much anybody else can do it. But since you're listening to the show and you're picturing us with no shirts on, be sure to check out www.BehindEnemyLinesRadio.us. Check us out on the Facebooks and the Twitters at BEL_radio. And if you miss any part of this show when we broadcast live Tuesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern on Spreaker, you can check us out at any one of our rebroadcast outlets, including WJHC 107.5 FM in Jasper, Florida, or WDDQ 92.1 FM in Adel, Georgia, both part of the Red Nation Rising Radio Network on our terrestrial side, but there's also the internet side of Red Nation Rising. Check us out there as well. KLRN Radio, High Plains Talk Radio and Sackheads Media, and ICRN, the Internet's conservative radio network, as well as Lanterns Radio. We're happy to be part of the Lanterns family there. And if you miss us on any one of those rebroadcast outlets, check us out via podcast on iTunes, Spreaker, TuneIn, Stitcher, Podbay, Player FM, discover us on Google Play Music, and of course, as always, on iHeartRadio. Really? Shirtless selfie radio.
Are you really going to post those pictures we took on the website?
Why'd we take them if we weren't going to post them?
All right, let's do it, Gene.
They'll be up later, don't you worry. Don't you worry.
And by the way, I know Gene just spit out a whole bunch of places that you could hear us, but I'll tell you where the action's really at. It's in the chat room. So if you can tune in on Tuesday nights at 10 o'clock, BehindEnemyLinesRadio.us, it's a blast in the chat room.
You know, because of the summer and some things going on in both our lives, we had to take some days off to do the show. We'll be pumping it out on the regular just as we start heading into the fall, folks. Programming note, next week, I'm going to Value Voters Summit. Unfortunately, Russ can't make it, per the usual, but whatever. I'm not bitter. Going down there, we'll be bringing some great interviews from there in about 2 weeks. And listen, Russ is back for the duration now, so we got some great stuff to do.
And for those of you guys who don't know, because I do mention this every time Gene brings up Value Voters, Gene caused quite the ruckus a couple of years back at Value Voters.
Oh, I caused the ruckus on the Twitters, though, didn't I?
Basically, he was called a heathen and a whole bunch of other.
Oh yes, because because I said that we felt like going to a strip club after going to Value Voters because we had to balance it out. Yeah, I mean that happened.
They didn't get the joke. So,
listen, it's all in good fun around here. Get used to it, especially if you're going to be a listener of us for every week, no matter where you listen to us on any one of our outlets. But back to the show, Russ. We've had some cray. We've had some wonk to kind of balance out the cray, thanks to Steve Beeman and the Society to Advance Financial Education. Boy, that's a mouthful. And, of course, he has his own show, but we don't really want to talk about that. But let's get back to something that was initially thought to be cray, but may not be. Donald Trump was going around saying that he doesn't think he's going to lose state, whatever, Pennsylvania, whatever state it is, unless they steal the election from him. Of course, that's crazy, Russ. No one can steal an election.
Who's the they?
They.
All right.
They. The ubiquitous they.
Because there is some truth to what he's saying.
There may be, because the FBI has stated through different reports that they've identified cyber attacks on at least 2 state election boards. Huh? Could that be the ubiquitous they?
I know that's
trying to steal an election.
I know we're going to talk about this, but just for Donald's sake, and by the way, Dano, good to see you in the chat room. I hope you're all right, buddy. For
yes,
Donald's
he's back.
sake,
Excellent.
Donald was really... Think about the time and place in which he said that statement. First of all, the Republicans did, in fact, try to steal the election from Donald Trump. That's Exhibit A. Exhibit B. Democrats Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton admitting 10,000 Syrian refugees, unfettered illegal immigration, striking down voter ID laws, stealing elections much? I think so.
Well, here's the latest news that you can add to that list, Russ. Department of Homeland Security wants to have jurisdiction over the presidential election. The Secretary of Homeland Security, Jeh Johnson, because it's spelled J-E-H, so we're going to go Jeh Johnson, says that, quote, we should carefully consider whether our election system, our election process, is critical infrastructure, like the financial sector, like the power grid. Does he not know what the Constitution says about
in all fairness, Gene,
elections?
I can almost guarantee you if I go to Infowars.com right now that there's going to be a story about this. And you called Alex Jones crazy. Crazy? This sounds pretty crazy to me. If I didn't read this myself...
It's a big issue that states run elections.
I do, but I'm saying...
That's what he said.
The fact that you're telling me that a department of the federal government wants to hijack that power that's not constitutionally granted to them in any way, shape, or form, I would call you crazy, and I would call you a conspiracy theorist, and I would say you were just flat out nuts.
Is it ignorance or is it a plot? That's what it comes down to. I'm leaning more
towards
the
dots. What do you
connecting
think?
the dots on this one. I mean, agree with you on this.
It is what it is. I mean, Barack Obama, the left wing, Hillary Clinton by default, they say lots of crazy things. Remember when Barack Obama was running for office, he said he wanted a civilian defense force that would rival the militaries.
And then George Soros has a memo leaked from one of his think tanks talking about national police regulations. And that's the start of possibly a national police force.
And Alex Jones talks about FEMA FEMA prison camps being set up secretly across the country. All right, that's a little over the top. But DHS taking over elections? I would never have believed this story. I barely believe it now.
For those of us who understand election law, and I'm a bit of a wonk when it comes to this. You should know that presidential power should have no sway over election administration. First of all, we should all know and understand, based from our everyday lives and our interactions with voting, elections are set up by states. Whether it's a local election, a county election, a state election, or a federal election, election administration is a state power. There is some interplay between Congress and the states. For instance, Article 1, Section 4, Clause 1 of the Constitution empowers states to prescribe the times, places, and manners of congressional elections. But Congress does have some power with setting up different parameters as far when it comes to bookkeeping and finances for elections. That comes from the Supreme Court and from the Constitution and subsequent legislation. Also, Congress can determine the date and time for the grouping of, the coming together of electors for the presidential election. But that's the extent of the power. Notice I mentioned Congress in all of this, folks. There is no presidential power ever conceived of that would have any sort of influence or sway over an election. Are you kidding me right now? The abuses that can come from that are absolutely disastrous. Could you imagine an office, a department within the executive controlling an election administration because they simply determined that it's quote-unquote critical infrastructure? If we're so worried about the infrastructure of election administration, let's put more money into state coffers so they can deal with it. Come on now, this is beyond the pale.
Imagine?
It's beyond the pale.
No, I cannot imagine. But you also mentioned this word that I'm vaguely familiar with several times, Congress. Who are these people you speak of, Gene?
Well, I don't know if you know this, Russ, but there's supposed to be 3 branches of government.
Please educate me on this.
Yes, one of those is the president who's supposed to be the executive and execute the laws that are passed by the legislature or Congress, for the most part. They're supposed to have the power of the purse and the power to go to war and all these different things.
So if this
that they obviously don't do.
If this fictitious group of people that you call Congress really exists, wouldn't they be outraged every time the executive that you've described try to usurp some of their powers?
You would think so.
Where is Mr. Ryan? Mr. Speaker, please come to the floor. Where are you?
Yes, can we page him?
Is Mitch McConnell still alive? Has anyone seen this man? Where is Mitch McConnell?
Oh, you know where they all are? They're all strategizing about what are they going to do about a problem like Donald Trump. That's what they care about more than actually doing their job, probably. But let's go back to it again.
Paul Ryan, put down the dumbbells, get off the treadmill, and get on the damn TV. Do you not see that the executive branch is trying to take your branch's power and the state's ability to run elections? Do you not see that this is about to happen?
You know, when you're not giving away your power, like with TPP and other
the Iran
legislation
deal and
the Iran deal
treaties that you guys should be, the Senate should be handling.
When you're not just voting to say, yeah, we got no power, they're still taking it from you.
Where is Paul? Honestly, I'm going to put out an all points bulletin right now. If anyone knows where Mitch McConnell is, please call the show immediately. I'm concerned.
Yeah, 718-395-2351. If you know where Mitch McConnell is, only if you know where Mitch McConnell is, and if you're listening on replay, you can leave a message on that line, and we'll talk about it
First
next
person
week.
to call in with the whereabouts, the verified whereabouts of Mitch McConnell gets an autographed shirtless selfie from Gene and myself.
That'll be fantastic. You frame it, put it up on your wall. So the latest news from Mitch McConnell is that he's predicting changes to Obamacare. He's talking about, wasn't Obamacare the issue last year? I mean, really?
News break to Mitch McConnell. Vietnam, we have no more soldiers there. I don't know how far back in the past this man is living, but there's lots of things going on right now, brother.
Mitch McConnell just found out that Hong Kong was turned back over to the Chinese. You see, he's a little behind the times.
Mitch McConnell.
Wow. This is not something we wanted to talk about.
The Republican Party is worried about Donald Trump being the president.
They're worried about their own asses.
Look at the idiots that we have in leadership positions now, right now. Mitch McConnell. This guy McCarthy, who was even a bigger dummy than Paul Ryan, and who was the last speaker? The crybaby.
Oh, the Boehner. John Boehner. How could you forget him?
A bunch of idiots.
Oh, here's some news. Huffington Post is reporting this week that House conservatives are planning a coup against Speaker Paul Ryan.
Because he's backing people who are running in primaries against Freedom Caucus members. And that's a disgraceful act on Paul Ryan's part. Paul Ryan, who says he just ain't there yet when it comes to endorsing Donald Trump. You got some nerve. Some nerve. You too, Mark Levin, you big dummy.
Wow, you're going against Levin.
I love Levin. I still love him. And one day I hope to be able to forgive him. But all this trash you're talking against Donald Trump, it's unforgivable at this point. What you are going to cause is a Hillary Clinton victory. You can argue that, and a lot of these radio talk show hosts and political elected officials, Republicans, claim that they don't sway the voters and their opinion is just their own. Well, then why do people seek your endorsements? And why are you so happy to give your endorsements in other scenarios? Just shut up. Don't sabotage this election. Because you got somewhat of a free thinker in there who's expanding the base, who is campaigning in black neighborhoods, who is campaigning in blue states. All right, the guy running a little unorthodox as a Republican.
A little.
But maybe that's a good thing.
Listen, isn't insanity the definition of it, saying do the same thing over and over again, expect a different result? The Republican Party electorate has picked somebody else that's different than what was going on in the past when we were winning or losing. We were losing. So let's try something different. Everybody that was in the driver's seat in the Republican Party now got to take a back seat. And they don't like it. Because it's more about them and their power than it is about any type of transformative government.
And do you really believe, Gene, if Donald Trump was not our nominee and Ted Cruz were, do you really believe the likes of Mitch McConnell and John Boehner and Paul Ryan and ex-President Bush would have all lined up behind Ted Cruz? Do you really believe this?
There would have been a deal. There's no deal with Donald Trump. I think that's the main difference.
I think that they hate Ted Cruz just as much as they hated Donald Trump. If you want to blame anybody for the reason why we have Donald Trump as our nominee, you blame the Republican Party, the establishment. They couldn't line up behind a conservative, so they wanted splitting their votes And now you got Donald Trump.
I'm giving Dano in our chat room the last word. Go back to your little pup tent and let real Americans go on with our big tent.
That's
That's
nice.
a great way to put it right there.
Big tent.
We need a big tent to win. There's no doubt about it. We need Republicans on board. We need independent voters. And the Mexicans. No, that's a little joke for us, folks. You know what? They need the Hispanic vote. They need some black voters. They need everybody.
Mexicans' votes matter.
Every vote matters. All votes matter, Russ.
Even
Stop
the
being
dead
so
ones?
racist. Only to Democrats. Listen, time for final thoughts. Do you want to go first? You want me to go first? I got something.
What do you got? What are you going to do?
Well, listen.
Tonight's a nice fluid night.
It is a nice fluid night. Shirtless selfie radio always seems to end up going smoothly. I don't know
Luckily,
why.
the weather's still nice and warm here in New York.
Thank goodness for that, because
shirtless selfie radio in winter up here is tough.
Couple of hairy Italians sitting around doing some radio. Oh man, there's a visual for you folks. Final thought time from me. Good job, Judicial Watch. More Hillary Clinton emails found, 30 deleted on the topic of Benghazi. Hillary Clinton is going to have to answer to why she persisted in using her private server, because Judicial Watch is doing what the government should be doing. Since when does a private organization get further in an investigation than the Federal Bureau of Investigation? Since when do you have to go to court to get some measure of transparency from the administration that's supposed to be the most transparent administration ever? Judicial Watch is getting the answers that FBI Director Comey couldn't. And they're going to be under oath. Good job, Judicial Watch. Keep it up, because sooner or later somebody's going to catch her in a lie. And sooner or later she's going to have to come to terms with actually committing a crime and the proof being on the table. And if it isn't obvious to you already, someone else is going to have to stretch and cover it up. And that's probably going to end up happening. But you know what? At least Judicial Watch is trying. The people in our government who should be doing it aren't doing their job. Good job, Judicial Watch. That's my last thought. Russ,
I like
take
that.
us home.
Kaepernick, stay seated, brother. We don't want you to stand.
Listen,
I don't want you to stand.
The 49er fans don't want you to stand. Stay on the bench.
Stay on the bench, and I'm not even talking about not playing. I'm talking about when the Star Spangled Banner plays, when our national anthem plays, stay seated, bro. Please stay seated. Show the people how idiotic, how nonsensical, how much of a lunatic you truly are. You represent the left. You represent lots of confused, young, minority men in this country. You're their representation. Stay seated, bro. I don't want you standing up. The men and women who fought for this country don't want you standing up. The police that protect us every day don't want you standing up. Stay seated. Just do us that favor. Thank you.
Anthony, we need to keep your shirt off. We need more tape.
Anthony Weiner, let's forget him. Uma, Hillary, inappropriate relationship. I'm telling you. Please don't doubt me on this one. And it's all just smoke and mirrors to take the other major scandals uncovered by Judicial Watch partially here off the headlines.
There you go. Next week we'll be back with more fun stuff, but until then, it's time to shut this sucker down. Russ, shut it down?
Gene, stand up and shut it down.
All right, good night, folks. See you next week.
Our position has been compromised. It's time to roll out. Report for debriefing at www.behindenemylinesradio.us and look for regular communications via Facebook and Twitter at BEL_radio. You are the resistance. Behind Enemy Lines. A Rock Radio production. Copyright 2016. Back in 7 days. Out.